Did I have my microphone off again? I can't believe I did that. Did I really have that off? Nope. It's on. Okay, perfect. I'm still trying to learn this program, guys. But here we go. Man, I am looking like a rookie today, and I totally apologize about that. So Western Skies, we have 5 single wide models that are going to be delivered to Western Skies, which actually last week we had Tyler here with us, and he was talking about it. So the floor plans in particular that we're going to be looking at are going to be the vintage, I'm sorry, not the vintage, the Villager 1676 3A, the Villager 1676 3B, and the Palm Limited 1676 3T are all going to go on there. So we have 2 of the A's, 2 of the B's, and then 1 T. As of right now, the T is already under contract and the home hasn't been delivered yet. So when we were saying that this location is also really good school district, near everything, we weren't joking about that. So we do feel like Western Skies is going to fill up super quick. We only have a limited amount of home sites there. So we plan on delivering those homes Monday. They'll be set up by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest. And then they're going to go ahead and do utility work. So come in 2 weeks, we should be ready for skirting, decks, and the AC. So it's very highly possible that you can have this home, as long as it passes inspections, for move-in ready by the end of the month, if not early October. So it's a very quick process, and we're excited to be able to offer that to you. Oh, so I have 2 accounts here at Palm Harbor, and now I know why I can't find the video, because it's on my other account. So if you guys can bear with me, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull that up here. It's making sense of why I don't have it. And here it is. Got it. Troubleshooting. All right. So let's go ahead and let's go into...
Hey everybody, this is Caleb, and
started a little bit ahead. Let's go ahead and let's switch over to the video, and while you're doing that, I'll try to fix my screen here. Once again, just leave comments in the forum. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Hey everybody, this is Caleb, and he's with Country Place Mortgage, also referred as CPM. And Caleb, welcome to our Friday stream. Thank you for making time today for us to pre-record this and get some content out to the viewers. If you can kind of tell us who you are, who you represent, and kind of a story about what Country Place Mortgage is doing for Kafka and neighborhood.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. I'm Caleb, one of the key account executives at Country Place Mortgage. So I'll pop this up real quick. Here we go. Can you see all this?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So just start with a little bit about us. So Country Place is a premier lender for manufactured, modular, and mobile homes. So, we've been around for a long time. As you can see there in 1995. Reason I say premier is because we, hopefully have the best product out there. And we don't buy necessarily as deep as some other lenders. But we hope if you do get approved through Country Place that it is the best approval that you have. Just meaning that you'll have the lowest rate with the lowest fees, very easy to work with, all those things. And CPM is operating in 39 states, so we're continuing to grow. We've got reps like me across the Southeast, so I've cover most of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and then we've got some guys in Alabama and Mississippi, both the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And then just like Palm Harbor, we are owned by Capco. So, kind of the family bank a little bit, if you will. We can move on. So I was just going to first jump into what a simple application process looks like with us. So obviously this is broken down and made as simple as possible, but essentially you're going to fill out an application, and we can take pretty much any application that you're used to using, that Jeff's used to using, that most other lenders use. However, we need our own unique credit addendum signed, so that'll allow us to pull your credit. But that is the only thing that's unique to us on the application. And then Jeff will then submit your application to us, which goes to our processing team, and they will process your application, which then is sent off to underwriting, who eventually makes the decision on the application. And then we send that over with your designated loan officer, either the approval or the denial letter, back to the dealership to go over with you. If it is the approval, then we'll have the services and conditions we need to clear before we can close on that approval letter. So just a real simple process of how we do things at Country Place.
Question. So
yeah,
in today's age, a lot of buyers are used to going online and applying. Does Country Place Mortgage have an online application available for borrowers?
So we currently don't. We obviously know that is coming, and something we're currently working on. Is obviously we go more and more online and more virtual, more remote. Things that I get that people don't even want to come to the dealership sometimes to fill things like that out. We currently don't have a portal like some of the other lenders currently have. Something we're definitely looking into and going to come in the future. But right now we're still just emailing those applications in. So yeah.
And then my experience, especially with the paper applications, it gives us an opportunity to go through it thoroughly. And I know that your underwriters definitely love that we have that opportunity to go through that. So that way, all the information is disclosed up front, and it's not a phone tag, right? While you guys are trying to make decisions where that's really the difference, right? Between being able to get an answer quickly to, man, it took them a week to give me an answer.
Exactly. Obviously we want to be as quick as possible, but accuracy is also something that is important. And then, so if you can do as good a job as you can at having all the information on the application as accurate as possible, it saves time on the back end of our processing team and your loan officer trying to call, get a hold of you, get a hold of the borrower, trying to fix something. And also just if, you can bring in some conditions and stuff like that to go ahead and send in with the application. You get your driver's license, your social security card, all of that sent in with the application. These things can go a lot quicker than, something that somebody who submits it, gets approved, waits a month and a half, decides, okay, yeah, now maybe I want to go with it. It's just a lot smoother if you can be as accurate as possible on the application, and then also, send in as much stuff with that application as possible, or as quickly as soon after you send in the application. Both of those things make it a lot easier on us and make it a lot quicker for the whole process.
Yeah. So number 5, it says there are conditions we need to clear, and I typically tell everyone it's not really conditions. I say it's really just a list of stuff proving what you put on your application, right? Because if we try to falsify that we make money and we can't prove it, right? It's not that you don't want to give them the loan. It's you can't give them the loan under law, right? So
exactly.
So yeah, definitely. So if we apply, we can go ahead and submit IDs, a copy of the social security card. Now, will Country Place accept a W-9 versus social security cards? I know some lenders do the W-9.
I'm not 100% positive if we do. I don't think so. I think we do have to have that social security card. But I can double check on that for you.
Yeah, awesome. So typically, mostly everyone gives me their their socials. Anyways, it's just a question I want to ask. But so
Yeah,
we
I've
can go
got
ahead and.
I've got a slide here too with just some real basic
Oh, cool.
stuff on there too that we usually always need. So we can run through that real quick too in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. I'll jump to the next one. Maybe there we go. Just wanted to touch on service level really quick, because that's something that is, that's our most important thing and something that we preach on every day at Country Place is just service level. So obviously we don't have that portal, but that doesn't mean, we're not readily available and quickly to respond to things. Like I just mentioned, you're going to have your designated loan officer for this dealership is how we do it. So, somebody's not going to start on your file and then it goes quiet for a couple days and you call back in and somebody else picks it up and then you're back to square one. You're going to have the same loan officer from start to finish. Because it's very important for us and the borrower to have an easy and comfortable process of buying a home, because something like that is very exciting. Buying a house for someone, you see a lot of first-time home buyers, and even if it's not, it's such a big moment in their lives that we want to make that as happy and exciting as possible. Obviously, when you're dealing with financing, it takes a little bit of time and can at times be a little bit stressful, but we want to make it as smooth and easy for the borrower, so that process is just not something they have to dread. We want it to be a happy and exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's a big purchase, and the better the service we provide, the better experience they're gonna have. So
exactly. Can move. Sorry, my computer's being very slow. So here's our different loan types. I know you wanted me to just pretty much speak on home only. So that's what our bread and butter is. That's the majority of our business is home only right now.
Yeah, and it's great that you're going through this, because it's not just the Capco and neighborhood fans that watch me. So our stream actually reaches all the way into some of the states you talked about, which is North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. We have tons of viewers from Virginia, Washington State. So the feed actually goes out to quite a bit. I get quite a bit of emails from there. So please feel free to share exactly what Country Place has to offer them. It doesn't we're one Capco, so all these people that email me, I just refer them to the right places. So if Country Place can definitely assist them with their loans, and that's exactly what a win for us.
Well, perfect. That's awesome. So I'll talk a little bit more about these specifically next, but these are just the general loan types that we do. And like I said, home only is the majority of what we're doing. And it can be typically the quickest route for people. We also just recently came out with the portfolio land home programs. So those are still they're still currently in Texas. So we'll be soon pushing out to other states. But there's 3 programs there, essentially: the Land Home Advance, Land in Lieu, and then a Land Home Appraisal program. And like I said, I'll speak a little bit more on those in just a second. And then we still do offer a few of those agency programs like the FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, that sort of stuff. So let's look at. So here's home only, kind of some specific credit criteria for us that I don't know if you want to jump through all the specific stuff here, but we can take a look at it a little bit.
So these are all 3 agencies, or is it? I know some lenders just use one specific. How does CPM?
So we take the median score of the 3 that we get back, is how we look at credit scores. And so, like I said earlier, we're a little bit of a premier lender. We don't buy as deep down into the 500s. So we are at a minimum 620 FICO score for all borrowers that are going on private property. But like for the reserve, that minimum will be 640. So that's for all family land and parks is what the minimum credit score is there.
Yeah, and to talk about that, I know you mentioned buying deeper and going down to the 500s. And, for someone who's been in the industry for 17 years, I understand that. And most buyers don't really, especially because when we look at, and I know we're not talking, this is just a home only. So we're not talking about government backed loans, right? That basically say, hey, you can go deeper. We're going to insure this money for you. That has its own caveats, right? That are later disclosed from your end, not on ours, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, something stuck in my throat. But you guys not buying deep and actually find people that qualify, right? In order to keep giving loans have to be successful in that and not be defaulted on, right? And I want to talk about that because I want to set up what you guys are going to offer for Capital and Neighborhood. And I mean, if I haven't expressed this in the email yet, I am just smitten over this program that you guys have for us, because comparing it to what fee simple loans are, like how you guys are right there along with it with home only, it's mind blowing to me. So I'm excited. I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I at least wanted to express to people not to be fearful of applying with Country Place Mortgage. Hey, if you're in there, let's go after it, because man, what you guys have to offer is amazing.
We feel the same way, and we don't have that pre-approval process that some others have. But like I said, with us, we want it to be when you apply with us and you get an approval, that's all that you need to look at, because we want our approval to be the best program out there, and be the most competitive. So that's our goal. And we definitely think that we provide a good program. So we're excited too. Can't wait to get this thing off and running. One big thing on the credit criteria that I see a lot of the times too is people are missing that installment credit. So something showing that you have been paying on something consistently month over month, so like a car payment, your house payment. We can even use some rental history too for that. But if we don't find one of those, we can't issue an approval. So that's one that's big. And then no bankruptcies, repos, or foreclosures in the last 3 years. So,
and that has to be an active line on that one trade.
I believe it can be in the last year, but I can check on that.
Okay.
For sure.
I asked that because obviously with the last 2 years, a lot of people have found ways to save more money and rethink how they're going to go and purchase. So a lot of them has sold and got all the amount of money they could out of their homes. So that installment loan that they had right on their mortgage, may have ended last year, and they ended up paying off all their debt. That's the reason I asked that question. So
gotcha. Well, yeah, that's something I'll definitely double check on then for you, so we can have that answer for them. These are just some of the kind of big bullet points of what our home only program offers. So just some kind of things that stick out. So our origination fee is $9.99 still on the home only, which is pretty low for the industry. And those fees can be financed into the loan amount. Our 185% gross invoice advance is very high as well, which can allow for the borrower to pretty much put in whatever improvements and add-ons they want. I don't know how that's going to look at your at the reserve, but
yeah, let me kind of break that down. What this means. Obviously, they're going to be like, "What does that mean?" Right. So, I'll kind of break it down. So, Cafco and Neighborhood has really made this very streamlined for our buyers, where they're not going to have to worry about this 185%, because we're taking care of all the cost up front. Even if the home doesn't advance for all those costs, we're going to end up reducing the amount of profit we make, right? So this is really profit driven for retail. Now, for you as a consumer, there's communities out there. Let's say that you weren't buying from Cafco and Neighborhood, which in this case, you can't really bring in a Palm Harbor other than through Cafco and Neighborhood. But let's say that you had the ability to do it. The site improvements, which include the sidewalks, the decks, utility connections, your permits, your home pad, everything that has to do with being able to finish out the home there at the reserve for us was $32,000. That's a lot of money, right? So as a consumer, if you end up getting a home and it doesn't advance, most retail places are going to be like, hey, I can only sell you this home for the maximum of X amount of dollars, and we're only giving you 15,000. You need to come in with the other 15,000. So that's a little bit of difference here. Not most people advancing at 150. You guys are 35% above that number, and that's what allows them to be like, well, I have the outreach now to go further and deeper and put it all into a loan without coming out of pocket. So that's really aggressive and amazing. And once again, that just speaks volumes of why you're looking for certain credit customers, right? Because the more successful the loans are, the more you guys are able to do for the borrower.
Exactly. And that's also just the cool thing about what the reserve is doing too. Just really excited about that for you guys and for us. I just think it provides something a little bit more unique for people. And should be great.
Yes, absolutely.
Where was I on here? Oh, debt ratio is up to 55%. So obviously, DTI has been somewhat of an issue recently, it seems like, for people. They could maybe qualify with their credit score, but their debt ratios are a little too high. So we've actually pretty recently gone up to 55 from 50, which is higher than a lot of people that you'll see other lenders. So that is another selling point for us.
And that's not scale. That's basically anyone who applies, whether it be 640
yeah.
or.
Yes, that's pretty much that. That's how it would work. And then approvals and rates are good for 60 days. So like we talked about earlier with the getting everything in quickly. I mean, if you could send in some conditions with your application, that's great. But just not waiting around for a month and a half before you start, okay, maybe here's what I want to do, especially right now with how rates have been the last 3 or 4 months. They're kind of been going up every couple of weeks, it seems like. So we've run into a few deals where they've taken a little bit of time and then they commit to it, and then we're waiting on 2 or 3 conditions still, and their 60 days runs out, and their rate goes up by half a point or something. So just important to go ahead, get everything in. Once you can get all your conditions in and we can send docs over to the dealer, once docs go out, that locks in your rate. So it's not even fully going to closing, but just getting those docs over to the dealer. Once all your conditions and stuff are cleared, we can lock that rate in. So just another important thing to move pretty quickly once you decide on what you want to do and who you want to finance with. I think most other lenders are pretty similar in that regard. You'll probably know a little bit more than I do, but probably a good general rule of thumb for just about everybody. We currently offer 20 and 25-year terms. However, the 25-year term has a few different qualifiers for it. So it is a 680 minimum FICO score, and I believe the DTI ratio has to be under 43 still on that one. So a little bit harder to qualify for that longer term. So the majority of the approvals we see are for 20 years, but and whenever you send in your application and everything, our underwriting looks at all that, and we are going to give DLO the approval letters. So either we'll have both approvals, or if one approval obviously makes more sense and is the right approval, then that's the one they'll send. But almost every time when both are qualified for the 20 and the 25 year, the loan officer will send 2 different approval letters with both options for the borrower to look at.
And I think that's awesome that you guys give them that ability for them to choose out their budget, what's best for them. So, and discussing the 25-year loan, typically, right, the 680 mark, 700, that makes a lot of sense because for yourself, I know you understand credit and I understand credit. Most people who are going to have scores that high, usually their debt to income is lower because you're not credit dependent. And that's what makes the big difference in credit score, right? Is the credit dependency. So,
Exactly.
but that's awesome. Yeah, if you're not high on credit, but you're gonna have a good score, you can then give yourself that extra 5 years to put you more in an affordable home payment.
Exactly. And then these last two are a little bit smaller things. We don't do any buy downs. So on rate, what you get's what's going to be what you get. Some other lenders will kind of work around to get a lower rate that they'll add some money back in on the back end of the loan amount and stuff like that. So we don't do any of that with rate. And then we offer some secondary housing. So this is that 680 plus FICO score with 10% down allows us to do some secondary housing stuff.
Well, can we talk about that one really quick? So
yeah.
So we have another project that's going to open up here at the beginning of the new year, which will be down near Corpus Christi over in Rockport.
Okay.
And this is in the Bay. This community is in the Bay. 500 home sites are 55 and better. So you're saying that if they have a 680, and this is going to be their second, because I feel that's going to be, oh, hey, let's go down to the beach during the summer, right? And so they would be able to get in at 10% and not 20%.
Yeah, so they can get in at 10% if they can budget. And then also we typically, so this is a little bit different with what you're talking about because it's on the bay and, obviously could be a vacation spot for people, in the summer or something like that. Because typically we need the secondary house to be 70 miles from their primary, but we can work some exceptions and stuff if they live 40 miles from there, but we can clearly see, hey, this is their vacation spot for the summer.
Yeah, well, I bring it up because, for us that we're here in North Texas, everyone's always going to the island during the summer. They head down to Corpus, they head down to those different things. That's, we know Dallas is full of people with really great income and really good money that love to go on vacation down there. So that's why I was like, man, that's phenomenal to be at 10% down versus 20%.
Exactly. That's exciting for sure. Good deal. Here were some of those conditions I was talking about earlier. So these are pretty standard with most lenders. There's obviously can be some more and stuff, but these are just off the top of my head, some real standard ones. So W-2, Social Security card, driver's license, that verification of down payment. And so here on the self-employed, so we need those 2 recent tax returns, and they must be self-employed for at least 2 years. And if they're not, we need them to be self-employed for at least 1 year, and then being in that previous line of work for the minimum of 3 years. So self-employment gets a little bit tricky and gets a little more difficult to work through. But
so in this case, let's say a nurse, right? A nurse, someone that's been in the nursing field, and then they get certified and then become a traveling nurse. Which in that sense they become their own self-employed person. And let's say that they did it a year. That would be the case, right? Because they were in nursing. Okay.
Exactly right. So as long as they were in that nursing for those minimum 3 years beforehand, and then they go and do their own travel nurse type role where they're, as a self-employed person, then at least that 1 year of that as well. Perfect. What else we got? Here is that Cavco in neighborhood rate sheet that we sent over to you earlier this week. Sorry, it got cut off a little bit on the bottom here. But just kind of gives out a rate range. There's obviously a few other things that underwriting looks at to get out the rate. But this kind of gives you a range a little bit based on what your credit score is and the down payment you're putting down. And so these are, very competitive rates right now, as they've been going up slowly the last, like we talked about, 2 or 3 months, but hoping to keep these as low as possible. And then we've got some other stuff over here that I went over earlier, but just that approval rates are good for 60 days. The DTI ratio up to 55%, and then all those origination fees and closing costs and stuff like that can be financed into the loan. So don't have to pay all those up front.
Could you go back? Let's go back to the rate sheet really quick.
Let's try here. Hold on.
Maybe you'll be able to answer me. Right now, if I'm incorrect, or if I'm correct, land home FHA deals, they're at like 6 to 6.25 rate right now. Is
That sounds
correct?
about right.
How about a conventional loan? What are their rates at right now?
Let me look. I don't have the conventional stuff. I've got, because those are the ones that are changing pretty much.
And you don't have to. It's okay. And I bring this up for a purpose, because if we go back to the rate again,
there we go.
We're looking at 650 to 699. It's going to be 7.25, right, to 8.69. And that's with 5% down, right? So typically, looking at an FHA loan, they're like, oh, it's 3.5% down. And it's like, well, it's 3.5% of finance and not the sales price, right? So you have finance fees on top of that. And typically when we're looking at, I have my brain with me, my calculator, right? So like in this area here in the Woodlands, probably the most inexpensive home is $350,000, and probably with closing costs, would be safe to say $9,000, just to throw a number. Right, so they're really let's say they're financing 360, right? So they're looking to put 12,000, 13,000 down. That's their minimum down payment. Most of the homes that we have here with the first 25, none of them are over 200,000. They're all under 200, right? So we're looking at 5%. We're still $2,000 less for the most expensive home.
Yeah.
And going into the community. But the beauty of it is, and you can answer this, is there any mortgage insurance since there's no 20%?
There is not.
Oh. Yeah. And this is why I'm like, it's amazing. When you look at these rates, right? And you know that you don't have to come in with 20% down and you don't have any mortgage insurance, it's just phenomenal. And this is really what makes it very intriguing, because not to name names, but other lenders who do the same thing, we're talking about a 2.5% interest difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why, we already mentioned it a few times, but once we get that approval over to you, we're hopeful and confident that it can be the best approval for you with these rates. And like you put with origination fees earlier, if we can get that $9.99, a lot of other lenders are at maybe 3% of the loan amount, or I don't even know what they're at right now, but could be several $1,000s compared to
yeah. The low end is 3.5, the high end is like 5. So.
Exactly. So saving a lot of money there as well. Here's one I didn't mention earlier. I said we had 20 and 25-year terms. So if it's a single wide, that term is going to max out at 276 months. So if they qualified for the 25-year term, but they were going into a single wide, then that term is going to max out at 276 instead of 300 months, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure what all kinds of houses are going into the reserve. I'm sure you have kind of a spectrum of different houses, but
yeah, definitely. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor, but when you look at the difference between the rates, I think a lot more people are going to go with your 20-year than the 25.
Yeah. No, it typically, can save a lot of money for the borrower if they can afford it over the life of the loan, just in interest payments and everything. But again, some people definitely need that extra 5 years for payment and stuff like that, and we understand, because times are pretty tight for people as well. So sometimes they, even if it might be a worse deal with paying more interest and stuff like that, they just need that payment to be a little bit lower for those extra 5 years.
Yeah, and we have 25 homes right now that are discounted 15,000 or more, so they can get into some affordable housing because we know that as soon as the grand opening happens, we will have the park half full within probably 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
That's how much interest there is. So as we know with the housing market, right? When the supply is low and the demand is high, typically there's no discounts. It's a great opportunity, not only of the pre-grand opening sale, but also these interest rates that you guys are offering us in this program. So there's no better time for them to buy than right now.
Exactly right. Are we good here on the rate sheet?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Alrighty. I will just touch on these last two really quickly because doesn't have to do with home only. But these are just real basic differences in our 3 portfolio land home programs that we rolled out. So like I mentioned, we have the land home advance, the land in lieu, and the land home appraisal. So both the land home advance and land in lieu programs don't require an appraisal, which is big right now because a lot of appraisals were coming back short for a while. So they're starting to slowly catch back up. But so both of those programs are going to be that 680 minimum and less than 43% DTI. So definitely that higher end borrower for sure. And on that land home advance, we have no origination fee. And then on the land in lieu program, which I have on the next slide, is no fees at all. So we're eating all the other fees, construction fees, title fees, everything. So I can touch on that here in a second. But definitely excited for that. That's a limited time deal promotion we're running right now as we're getting this thing kicked off. And all 3 programs offer that 360 term, so the 30-year. And then the land home appraisal over here is that 650 minimum and less than 55% DTI. So kind of opens it up to a few more borrowers than the other 2, but it does come with that appraisal as well, which is not always a bad thing or anything like that, but can maybe be a little bit slower.
What do we know what the average appraisal turnaround time is?
I don't have it for sure. It definitely depends on where you're at. So down in that Houston area, it could be a little bit quicker, but if you're going 4 hours into a remote area, it's a little bit tougher to find somebody to go out there and do that. So it can take a little bit more time for sure. That's typically how it works. If you're in a well-populated area with a lot of appraisers and stuff like that, it can go a little bit quicker. So it just depends a lot on where you're at. And then lastly, just that promotion I said we were running. So no borrower fees at all. So no origination, construction, title insurance, all these things under here. So processing fees, any of that. And then we're running a no payment for up to 120 days for those borrowers as well. So exciting stuff. We're definitely excited to keep this program going and really take off here because, like I said, home only's been our bread and butter and what our majority of our business has been for a while now. So we're excited to get this going for sure.
Yeah. Just in case someone doesn't know what land in lieu means, it's basically they're using their land as the equitable part, right? Instead of money. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, using that equity in your land for your down payment instead of a cash down payment. So perfect. I think that's all I've got on here, so we can run through some last minute questions here as well.
No, I think through the slideshow you were able to answer some of those questions. For those that are not buying from uh, Capital neighborhood, what's the best way for someone to get approved outside of Capital neighborhood for CPM?
So we don't have that online portal, so it does make it a little bit tougher for those customers. We're set up with, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dealers, so there probably is one in your area that could get you set up with Country Place. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. Like in the Houston area alone, I mean, there's 6 Palm Harbor lots just in the outside of Houston. So, I mean, there's a lot of lots and a lot of accessibility. And, we're all over the Southeast for sure. So that's going to be the easiest way, is just to find a dealer that we're signed up with, which is going to be most of them, especially down here in Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas and stuff like that. We'll be set up with the majority of them.
Well, Caleb, I thank you once again for taking time to meet with me today and to put this information out there. We're definitely really, really excited about getting some applications over to you. I can tell you this coming weekend, we have more than a handful of appointments for Saturday. And I think a lot of them would be even more excited to know that based on these rates and the program you put in there, that things just became a lot easier for them to make a decision, because they were basing their payments already on interest rates that were 2.5% higher. So,
exactly.
So that's
perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're excited, and that's a really great area that this is going into. So, I don't think that there's going to be any problems or I mean, I think it's going to just be a great success. So we're excited for sure. And hopefully to get some approvals coming your way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Borat said, great success.
Exactly right.
All right, man. Appreciate you. I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you for your time again.
Yeah, thank you. You'll have a great weekend too. See ya.
Bye.
I did it again. Okay, so I was saying, great information from Caleb. They're from Country Place Mortgage. He was very thoughtful to give us 40 minutes of his time to go over the programs that Country Place Mortgage has to offer. The exclusive rates that he showed here for Capco and Neighborhood, once again, that's for the reserve on Sleepy Hollow. For our project over at Western Skies, this will be available as well, but the purchase has to be made through CAFCO and Neighborhood. If you happen to go to one of the Palm Harbor villages or CAFCO home centers, that does not apply for you. This is specifically for our division here. So it makes it awesome for me, because you get the benefit of getting a better rate by purchasing directly from CAFCO and Neighborhood. So I don't see any comments, which is absolutely fine, because I know it's Friday. But just once again, this whole thing is set up for you guys. I'm trying to find content that I could fill in, waiting for questions. Obviously, with these videos, with Cascade Financial, talking about Western Skies with Tyler Wells last week, and then with Caleb this week, we'll be able to fill in the gap while we're waiting for questions to be asked. Great news as far as production. I know that Palm Harbor Homes Austin just came out with a brand new home called the Belterra. I don't have the pictures or floor plans just of yet, but I'd be happy to present that to us next week. Palm Harbor Fort Worth just came out with a home called the Sheridan. I will be here this week in Fort Worth area, so I'm going to stop by the factory and see if they actually had the prototype come out, and if so, that way I can do a video and present that to you as well, or to see if one was already sent out somewhere that I can go and do a walkthrough for you. Talking about walkthroughs, if you haven't seen, this whole entire week I've been loading up walkthroughs of homes that are at the reserve on Sleepy Hollow, giving you information regarding that. I had to do a lot of them pre-recorded and then loading them up here, just because my phone has been acting funky, and I knew why, because all of a sudden Apple has a new phone that they want me to buy, so they're trying to slow down my stuff and be like, your phone is old. And relatively, I mean, it is an old phone in Apple ages, but man, it works great. I love it. I don't see having to go buy a $2,000 phone just to get the cinematic view, unless you guys think you need cinematic view when we do our walkthroughs. But I think they're okay, with the exception of this mug here. Everything else is pretty good looking when we go through it. So I really appreciate you guys for taking time today. I'm just kind of trying to see if any comments show up while we're on here. I'm trying to see what else we got going on. So talked about the new floor plans, talked about the financing. The reserve on Sleepy Hollow. They're doing decks, both front and back, doing the smart panel skirting. Sorry, I have to close my eyes when I think. The smart panel skirting. Next week, they're going to go and do all the forms for the sidewalks. And then the week after that, they're going to lay down concrete. They're going to go, you're going to see in the videos that we did of the live walkthroughs that there was a lot of overgrowth grass. So they're going to be cutting grass and cleaning up the as far as my locations, my spots, cleaning that all up, making everything very presentable, grading everything, and making these homes ready to move in. We got a letter from the energy company saying they got transformers in. Now it's just logistics to get them put in for the first part that they can. It's only X amount, but they're going to string them through. Good news, it sounds like they're going to start where Verde Valley is at, where we have already 8 of our homes there. So definitely those are going to be the homes to purchase. They're actually almost all single wide, so they're the lowest costing homes that we have to offer. And then Bell Court will be energized as well. That's where we'll have our display homes, where we can actually do our true grand opening. With that being said, that means the time frame to take advantage of discounts that we're offering are coming closer and closer to an end. Do not miss that opportunity, because as soon as we open up, we are going to go to selling the homes at the cost that they are, because we do know that once people can start living at the reserve, people are going to want to come in here. And when there's high demand, low supply, typically we're going to make a lot more. Now, we won't play the overbidding game. Our pricing is going to be our pricing, so first come, first serve, and then whatever's left, we can order a home and then put you onto a home site that can support that home, and then it's just a waiting time. So if you're in a situation that your lease is going to be over in the next 6 months, I would say come and see us and get something going if you're able to find a home that fits your needs. And because that's perfect timing, gives us enough opportunity not only for the homes that we have there, but also to bring in the other homes that we've already allocated for the home sites, which I put the home site link up here at capcoinneighborhood.com / the reserve on Sleepy Hollow. It's on there. It's kind of weird. It has like these little dashes in between the reserve on Sleepy Hollow and then another / So make sure to click on that link. Nice thing about it, it has pricing and it has home details as well. The only thing it doesn't show is the incentives, which I put on here so you guys know that it's 15. The pre-grand opening sale is $15,000 off listed price on the home. So with financing from CPM, This makes it really, really affordable for the ability to live in such a super nice neighborhood that's just minutes away from everything. And then this is not just a marketing tactic. When you go see that you're 2 miles away from the mall, 2 miles away from downtown the Woodlands, the marketplace, the hospitals are 2 miles away, 20 something restaurants are less than a mile away, a mile and a half away from you, box stores, everything is just 2 to 3 miles away from you. HEB is 2.5 miles away from you in downtown the Woodlands, and then you have up in Conroe off 197. I mean, I don't know that road, but it's one street up from Tamina and Research Forest. That one is about 4 miles from you, and then there's one in Spring, which is about 5 miles. So you have 3 HEBs within a 5 mile radius from you. So even if one's busy, you got the other 2 you can go and hit up. And as you know, HEB is not just a market store; it's a way of living here in Texas. So to have 3 of them near you, that makes me kind of jelly. So as always, I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 817-766-4250. Make sure to look out for our videos that we're going to be loading of the walkthroughs of several homes that are at the reserve on Sleepy Hollow. Sorry, guys. And then if not next week, the following week, I'll be back out there. But we're going to definitely do a lot more videos and give you a lot more information. And I think you'll be ready to move on something, and so will everyone else, as we start seeing all this product come to completion and ready for you to purchase and get you ready to move in. As always, enjoy your weekend. God bless. Love on your family, and we'll see you next week, Lord willing.